Alright. So a big part of what I'm working on now is a visual overlay, squad overlay for the Inducted game. Uh, so kind of a starting point, I used ChatGPT image generation just to kind of give me a reference, kind of had a back and forth, and you know, kind of happy with this. Uh, just different states, current players, health statuses, whether they're dead or not, gold of each player, what ability uh, slots each hero has. I'll do replicated cooldowns as well, so just at a glance you can tell um, what everybody's cooldowns are. Selected boons for that run, sort of with a subtle background glow indicating which factions those boons were selected from. In current favor standings with each of the factions, and kind of tell at a glance what each hero is building towards, what factions they're favoring, um, what boons they have, and so on. Uh, also sort of trial information at the top, what trial we're in, what wave in that trial we're in, how many seconds or time is left if you're in a prep phase. Um, there's a lot of things I'm leaving out of this, just sort of what's relevant to the immediate run. So there's three different kinds of currency in the game: build points, gold, and tribute. Um, but build points are only relevant within a wave or within a given, um, well, not necessarily within a wave, but definitely within a trial. Um, um, I think the way I'm going to design is build points get wiped between waves. Your gold will stick with you for the entire run, so that's something that'll accumulate throughout the run. But will be a currency that's destroyed at the end of the run. um, Contribute something that's sort of a meta currency, something you can spend outside of a given run. Um, so gold is the appropriate currency to have in this UI. Um, but so with that, a lot of the work I've been doing, I'll jump over to my Unreal Engine editor here. A lot of that work is done in my GameState. So yeah, here on my GS game state here, the game state's basically the public memory of the current match. So the game mode, that's going to decide your rules. Server side, player state, that helps track individual players. But the game state, it's a replicated place where it shares has a shared match information. It's where that lives. So all the clients across this co-op game stay uh, stay synchronized. For a co-op game, that's critical. If one player opens the squad status overlay that I'm building, they need to see the same trial wave, health, gold, boons, the faction progress per player that the server sees. So the game state sort of acts as that bridge between the server's authoritative state and the UI that's going to show up client side for each player. So all that being said, I'm using the game state because the squad status screen, it's not just local UI, it's a shared team snapshot. So when a player presses tab key, the game state will gather information from all the different player states that's working with each connected player. Their pawns, their ability managers that are on the pawns, that's where the abilities are coming from, icons and cooldowns, their faction standings, you know, wave systems, wave information, um, up here in the top right, it's going to be pulling from my Wave Manager blueprint. It gathers all that and it returns a clean snapshot that'll plug into the user interface to display. So it keeps the UI system from hunting through all the different gameplay objects and blueprints. So that's why the game state is so important for this kind of work. Okay, so I'm in the middle of quite a bit of work on this. I'm getting very close. So this W underscore game stats, it's a user widget or a child of a user widget. This is a very old early system that I'm going to be gutting and reworking. So you can tell I have quite a bit of work to go from this to something approaching this level of professionalism or whatever. Obviously, this is AI generated, so I'm gonna have to just using it as a reference point, sort of the vibe I'm going for, so to speak. So I try to use very minimal AI generation for assets in my game. So for 2D texture icons or whatever for heroes or even abilities and boons or whatever, I will pay an artist for their assets. As a very last resort, if I can't find anything that's just not sitting right, I will uh, generate an icon. But for the most part, I've been able to find 2D icon asset packs that work really well for the vibe I'm going for in this game. Um, at the end of the day, I want it to be fun to play, look freaking awesome. Yeah, just go from there. So I don't really, there's not much here that I want to keep. I'm going to start by just deleting all of these individual rows. So this is a parent of these old individualized player stats. So I'm just going to delete those out. All right. So right inside this vertical box, I'm going to add a horizontal box. Click and drag and just place this right below that. I'm going to press F2 and just call that HB header, HB for horizontal box. In the HB header, I'm going to add 5 different text blocks. So I'm going to carefully, actually, I believe that's going to need to be a child. This first text blocks, I'm just going to name it text underscore title. This one's not going to be variable, and we're just going to put the name of the game here, the Inducted. Okay, I'm going to drag in another text block here. We're going to call that TXT trial label. This will be a variable, so I'm going to check that. And I'm going to duplicate that. Control D, Control D, Control D. The second one we're going to call TXT wave label. The next we'll call TXT phase label. This last one we'll call TXT phase timer. Since I duplicated these last 4, they're all checked as variable. That is a tip. It's a time saver. If you get something about how you like it, just duplicate it. It moves you along a lot quicker. So if I collapse that, they're all a child of that horizontal box header now. All right, I'm going to jump over to the graph now, do a little bit of graph work. I'm going to need a function that essentially is going to be refreshing the header So that's what we'll call it. We'll call it refresh headers here. That's not going to be a pure function. So in the refresh header, we're going to need to get the game state. So that's a UnrealEngine built-in function that'll return the game's game state, and we're going to make a cast to the game state that I use for my game. Casts are a little bit more resource intensive than some other calls you can set up with interfaces, for example. But I believe this is going to be lightweight enough where it's not going to make a meaningful impact, and they're super, super, super convenient. I mean, I've set up an entire system to get them to work. So I'm going to, off the cast, so off my game state, I'm going to run the event get squad headers. If I double click on this, I can see the target is my game state. That'll jump over to this other tab where I have this get squad header function. So it's going to run all this logic where I'm passing in what the current trial is, what the max number of trials is, what's the current wave, what's the max number of waves, what's the phase name, how much time is remaining during this phase. Typically it's a build phase. How much time is remaining? All that's getting returned from this function. So that's what's happening. That's what's returning in this header struct. So this widget is casting out to this and getting that data and bringing that in to this user interface widget. So my widget has access to all those variables. So when you have a struct like this, what you want to do is break these. It'll give you access to all these different outputs, and click and drag off of them. So we can use these, plug them into variables. So anytime we grab this, it's going to grab the current state of each of these variables. So the first variable that we're going to want to set is the text trial label. So I'm going to pull this out here, drag off of here, type in set text, and that'll be the next blueprint node that executes. So text trial label, what do I want to put in there? The first thing I want to do, I know I'm going to want to format the text in a certain way before I plug that result into text here. So what does that mean? It's going to say trial, say 1 out of 2, for example. So I'm going to plug that in here. I'm going to have those, the 0 and 1 in brackets here. That's really it's creating 2 inputs for me. So what I'm going to do is plug in current trial into this first input here and max trials into the second one. So what will happen is this will say trial, say current trials 1, it'll say trial 1 of max trials, say it's 2. And that's how you would get that text. The next thing I want to do is I want to branch off of this wave valid Boolean value. Those red nodes, I mean they're Boolean values, so I'm just going to type in branch here. That'll be the next executed node. So wave valid is either going to return true or false. So 2 different paths I'll go down depending on that value. So on true, I'm going to take the text wave label and I'm going to set visibility on that. So on true, meaning the wave is valid, I want the wave label to be visible. I'm going to duplicate this on the false path. I'm just going to change this to collapsed. One more thing I'm going to do on the true side is set text for the wave label. And I'm going to format that as well. But instead of trial, that is going to say wave x of z instead of trial. And I'm going to plug in from over here the struct that I broke earlier, current wave and max wave. And that will format my text for the waves. And the next thing I want to do is grab the phase label. We're going to set the set text on that as well. All right. The important thing here, keep in mind, I have two paths here. They both need to reconverge on this, or else you will get undesired results. So this is simply just going to be the phase name. That's a string I have coming in, but Unreal will do that conversion for me. String type to text. That's not going to be an issue. Alright, I'll have a branch next. If I hold B and click, Unreal will add that branch node for me. Just another one of many awesome shortcuts. So this is going to be off of the phase valid boolean. I'm going to plug that into my condition input here. This is going to be related to the phase timer. So I'm going to get that phase timer. I'm going to, as similar to the I will set the phase timer to visible on true, and on false I will collapse it. And then on true I'll format the text as well. So we'll do a set text. We'll want to format this text as well. The format here is going to be simply minutes and seconds, so the formatting part is easy. I'm going to have to do a little bit of math here, so I'm going to drag these up here to plug in the minute and second values here. So I have so my time remaining is going to come from my phase time remaining over here. I could plug that directly in, but I want to have a little bit more control over the formatting here. So we are going to do a float floor, and I'm going to go ahead and promote this to a local variable. It's just easier to work with. I'll call this seconds. And I'll move that over here. I'll set that variable. So now I can pull seconds out here and use it however I need to. So to get minutes, I'm going to take seconds and divide. Just divide that by literal 60 here. So this guy here is going to be my minutes. I'm going to duplicate seconds here, and I'm going to do seconds. This is going to be one you guys probably haven't heard in a while, modulo. I'm going to modulo that on 60. So if you don't remember what modulo does, if you divide that by 60, anything that doesn't divide cleanly into 60 will be the output. So say it's a minute 30. The output of this will be 30. So that's how you have your minutes on one side and your seconds on the other side. Okay, I'm going to drag these in directly here, and I hope Unreal does the conversion for me. It looks like it does, so I don't need to do any fancy conversion here. Then I'll execute on that set text, and I think that's going to do it for me here. Alright, so that's I think that's all I really need for my header refresh. Touches all of those labels. I'm going to format these so it's easier to read later. Very clean looking. So I'm going to need some new child widgets if I'm going to build this out. For example, I'm going to want my own ability, a widget slot for my abilities. I'm going to want a boon slot for my active faction lanes. I'm going to want a faction lane slot. So I'm going to go ahead and build those child UI assets first, because you need to have those before you can build the whole. So that'll be my next steps here. First, I'm going to build the ability slot. So I'm going to go to my UI folder, and that's already where my player stats and game stats are sitting. I'll go ahead and put them in place here. So I'm going to do a new, where is it? User interface, do widget blueprint. Parent will be user widget. We'll just call this W underscore ability slot. So I'm going to open up ability slot. First thing, in the designer, we're going to add a size box here. We'll go ahead and call, oh my goodness. We'll go ahead and call this size box slot. Oh, let's capitalize, that'll bother me. Oh, it's not going to let me capitalize that. I'm going to do a width and height override. We'll start with 38 on both of those. And then the size box, I'm going to add an overlay. Inside the overlay, I'm going to add an image. Image, I will rename to image underscore icon. Set its horizontal and vertical alignment to fill. So the overlay, I'm going to add a text block. I'll name that txt key. We'll leave its alignment on top left. Almost forgot, both of those need to be marked as a variable. Okay, jumping over to the graph side, I'll delete these out, and I need to add a function. We'll call this setup. Simple. We'll have one input parameter. I'll just call that ability, and that will be of type SUI ability display. And off of that, I will do a break to get access to that struct. Right, off the ability icon, all I want to do is valid, and then branch off of that. On true, I'm going to grab this image icon that we just set up in the designer, and I'm going to set brush from texture. And of course, my input from that is going to be this ability icon. Do that off of the true. I also want to make sure the visibility, I want to set visibility to visible. On the false, the only thing I'm going to do is set the visibility to hidden instead of collapsed. Next, I want to grab the key and set the text key here. We'll just do a simple set text. This will converge from both the true and false on the image icon because it's going to show regardless. And the input is going to be input label here. Alright, I'll format here, that should do it for my ability slot here, compile and save. We'll move on to the boon slot. Actually duplicate my ability slot here. I'll just call it W underscore boon slot. I'll open that up, change a few things here. We are going to start with a border as the root. Border. just rename that to border frame. Bring image up here. Actually, I'm just going to delete all of this. Image icon. I'm going to wrap this inside a size box. And in that size box, I'm going to do a width and height override of 26 and 26. Make the border frame a variable as well as the image boon icon. All right, I'm going to do a setup function over here as well. I'm going to get this one. My setup input is actually going to be boon, not an ability. The type is going to be boon display. I'm going to need to break this to get access to the inputs here, or to the data here. I'm going to branch off of the boon icon. Well, it is valid, I suppose. It is valid, and then branch. All right, go ahead and format this. It looks a little sloppy. Very good. Next, I will go ahead and duplicate this. We'll call it this widget. We'll go ahead and call that W underscore faction lane slot. We want the last children I need to make here. I'll go ahead and get this. We'll go ahead and have a horizontal box as the root here. And we'll start with an image. Good spell, that would help. And that image, we'll call it image faction icon. Just going to add these left to right here. Next, we'll add a border. Border, we'll just call it border swatch. Go ahead and wrap that in a size box. I will set the width and height overrides to 11. Right, next, I'll add a text block. Right. txt underscore faction name. And we'll add another horizontal box. That'll be the little pips, the little dot things. I'll have another image here. It's gonna be a little crown thingy. Do another text. Call it txt lifetime. All of these are going to need to be variable, so I'll go ahead and check that. Alright, next we're going to jump over to the graph. We'll do another setup function. Go ahead and get this. So on the setup here, it's not going to be pure. Just like the others, we'll do an input and we'll call it lane. It'll be of type S underscore UI. That's going to be faction lane struct data. And like before, we're going to break that to get access to that data. There's quite a bit here that we can use. So from the faction icon, we're going to do an is valid, and then branch off of that. All right, the true path, we're going to take that image faction icon, and like before, set brush from texture. That'll be on the true path. So if it's valid, we want to go ahead and draw that. And we're going to draw that from our faction icon input here. And then, of course, we want to set the visibility on that icon to visible. And on the false path, we'll just duplicate this here. We will set that to hidden. Very good. And then our paths will converge. And actually, instead of hidden, this one I'm going to set to collapsed. Both of these will converge on the border swatch here. So I'll get that. Here we're just going to set the brush color. Both of these will converge. And that brush color is going to come from a theme color. So the border is going to be colored the same theme as the faction we chose. Let's give us a little bit of character. Next, we're going to grab the txt faction name, and we're going to set the text on that. Let's see here. I think we can just take the faction name here and plug that straight in. I'll have to do a conversion here. What is that? Oh, it's a name to a text. Not a big deal. Alright, the horizontal box pips, when I get that, actually the first thing I want to do, just to make sure it's clear, is do a clear children on that. And we're actually going to do a for loop here. We're going to execute on that. And actually, this is not going to be a for each loop over an array, so let me delete that. It's actually just going to be a traditional for loop. The first index is going to just be 0. The last index is going to be pips total, which I grabbed from here. Actually, that needs to be a -1. So I'm going to do pips total, subtract 1, just so we don't get an error there going out of bounds or beyond the index there. All right, and over this loop body, the part that's going to be looping, I'm going to create a widget, and that's going to be, I just realized I don't have a pip widget to select from, so I'm actually going to have to create that. So we will just do user widget here. I'll call that w_pip. We're just going to add a size box as the root here. We'll do a width override. We'll start with 10 and 10. All right, we're going to add an image. I'll just call that ing_pip. That is set to fill. We are good to go there. I'm going to mark that as very. All right, we're going to jump over to the graph real quick here. Delete these out. All right, I'm just going to add a basic function. We'll call it set pip color. We're going to have one input parameter. We'll just call it pip color. That's going to be of type linear color. Yep, there we go. All right, I'm going to drag this img pip into here. We are going to set the brush color. Set brush. Actually, we're going to do set color and opacity there. Just going to pass in pip color. That's really a very, very simple function. All right, jumping back over to my faction lane slot. I'm going to create a widget of class what I just made, the W underscore pip. And we're going to have to determine this pip's color of this return. I want to call a set, what did I call it? I guess set pip color. Yep, there we go. Now I need to come up with an input color here. I'm going to try going the select node path. All right, on the select, I'm going to take the for loop index. We're going to say if that is less than pips filled, plug that into the index here. So then I have a true and false, which should be a linear color. It needs to be one color on true and one color on false. To get that, I'm going to plug that into my pip color input, and that'll change these to colors that I can set. So for true, it really needs to be the theme color. So I have that. Plug that in for the true value. For false, I'll just set that manually here. We'll do just a light gray, I guess. We'll do 0.25 across the board. That'll be fine. All right, great. Stuff from set. Pip colors output exec. We'll do horizontal box pips. We'll add child to that. And what we will do is in the return value of that. All right, so that finishes the loop body. So on the completed, we're going to do a branch on is floor, meaning that's kind of our locked faction. If it is the crown image, we are going to set the visibility on that as visible. Of course, on false, we're going to set that to collapsed. All right, next we're going to take the text lifetime and we're going to set the text on that. And that's going to be lifetime favor level is what that will be. That'll be an int to text conversion here. I'll go ahead and format all of this mess. Alright, so that's done. So now I'm going to get into the player stats, which is kind of the individualized rows, basically. This is an old design. I'm going to gut most of this. So I'm going to, yeah, actually, I'm just going to gut all of this. Delete. All right, so here's my completed designer. Have it separated into different zones here. First zone is the hero portraits, hero name, player name, status, alive, down, whatever. Health and mana bars, gold, abilities, boons, and faction lanes. Next, I'll jump over to the graph side. I'll do a setup function with input. We'll just call it stats. That's going to be of type best player stats. It's kind of a massive, not massive, but it's a pretty big struct. So we'll need to break that. of lots of different attributes we can pull from that. All right, first things first, hero portrait we'll do and is valid. I'll branch off of that. If we are valid, I'll take the image portrait, set brush from texture on true, and we'll just pass the hero portrait into here. We'll also set the visibility to visible. On the false path, we will set that to hidden. All right, on the border portrait, we'll converge here and we'll set the brush color. And that we are going to set from the player accent color here, text hero name. We'll get that and set text. We'll pull that from the hero display name. While we're at it, we'll do the text player name. The set text here as well. Will come from player name here. All right, so for the status, we're going to take the player status here and we're going to switch off of that. So alive, low health, or dead. And we're going to grab the text status. So we'll do, probably end up doing a triple set text here. All these will be modifying text status. So we have alive, low health, and dead paths. The alive path, we're just simply going to put alive. Low health, we'll put low health. And dead, we will simply put dead. We'll go ahead and set the colors on these as well. We'll duplicate those. Live path, low health path, and dead. For alive, we'll do kind of a deep green. That'll work. For low health, we'll do more with an amber color. That'll work. And for dead, we'll go into the red territory. Next, we'll want to set the border row tint. Let's go ahead and grab that out here, and we will do set brush color. We'll duplicate that 2 more times as well for each of these paths. So make sure that's plugged in. Then we'll set these colors. So for alive, we'll just do neutral colors on these. And we'll do a 0.6 on opacity. And honestly, I'll do the same for low health. But for dead, I'll make it stand out just a little bit more. We'll do a 0.25 here, 0.03, 0.03, 0.7. Oh, I'm getting an error here. I did not plug in text status into these. Okay, that cleared the error. Now we'll converge on PB progress bar health. We'll do a set percent here. We're going to pull the input from over here, health percent. It's going to plug straight into there. Will all converge here. Then we're going to want to grab the text health percent, and as always, we'll do a set text here. From here, we'll do a health percent multiplied by 100, and we'll do a float to text conversion here. Actually, I want to append that. I want to do a format text, maybe. I'll do bracket space percent. We'll call this percent. Plug that in. That should do it for us. We'll want to do the same thing for our mana bars. Duplicate all of these. I'll just replace the PB health with PB mana, progress bar. We'll do the same thing for text mana percent. Plug that in here. Come over here and we'll grab the mana percent. That's going to be the N percent here, as well as this one. That should give us what we need. All right, next we have gold. So I'll grab the text gold here. I'll do a set text. I'm just going to plug in gold straight into that. Gold, we'll do an int to text conversion. Fine, great. All right, so I'm going to clear children on my HB abilities here. Just make sure we're starting fresh. Each refresh. All right, I'm going to do oh gosh, whoops. Do a for each loop here. Pass in ability displays. Going to create a widget. In this case, it's going to be the ability slot. And here, from the return value, we'll run we'll pass in the array element. And from my HB abilities, we will now add a child. That's going to be the return value from this create widget. All right, we're going to have a similar setup 2 more times. So I'm going to go and copy this, paste instead of HB abilities. In this case, we'll do HB boon. Come on, where are you at? Or WB boon, rather. Here we go. We'll clear children, get rid of that. We'll do a for each loop for this break here, boon displays. Ah, crap. Yeah. Okay. All right. Boon displays. There we go. My widget's going to be the boon slot. To add child, but I'm also going to run setup from here. The boon from a passed in array element. We'll run setup here. Okay, I think that should be exactly what I need. All right, lastly, we'll do it for our faction lanes. So all of this will be a vertical box. Where'd it go? There we go. I didn't have it exposed as a variable. Top action lanes, come on. There we go. I'll plug that. I'll get rid of that setup. This is going to be W. What did I call it? It wasn't lanes. Inspection lane slot. There we go. We'll run setup on that. Okay. Need VB. So WB boons want to add that to VB lanes. All right, now I'm wiring it into my client get stats here, my old tab. So I'm basically just running this setup. Let's see what it looks like. I'm gonna press tab. Okay, the inducted trial 0 of 2 combat. It's not really combat. Engineer. That's my player name. I am low health. Okay, everything's kind of wonky, but functionally, it's getting somewhere. So I've got a little bit of work to do to polish this up for sure, but making progress.